So we're doing a word.
Pardon me, boys. Is this?
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
Oh, I thought you said crap.
That you're all here. I know how hard it is, how hard and long driving it took to get you here. But the fact that you're here is wonderful. And the most wonderful thing is that you're all part of my family. And all of you, I will see you up in heaven. And I'm so happy to know that all of you that are here, I will be with you in heaven. I mean, I'm not going to live forever. And I feel like I have a few years more. And it makes me feel good to know that I'm going to have a big family up there. I have a big family now, but I want to see all of you up there. And that will be very choice for me because the gospel is true. It is so true and so important that we hang on to it and we believe with all our hearts because it is true. And unless we are very strong, we're not going to be seeing everybody. So I have to be too strong. So I thank you all for wanting to be a part of this family. And I love this family so much. I love each and every one of you. And I love all of the ones that weren't able to come. They're wonderful too, and I love them so much. And I thank you all. And I'm sure we'll enjoy the rest of the reunion. But thank you so much for coming.
And Grandma, you know, one of the ones that couldn't come was Dad.
I know.
He's here.
But you know what?
He's here.
I know he's here, and I know he's happy.
Dad would not mess
I
with
mean,
these.
his family, because this is all really centered on his family. And as I mentioned the other night, I have felt very strongly that Eleanor Rachel Elliott has had a hand in this, in getting us together to search out her family. And for many years that line we didn't know much about. And And now we're finding out more about it. And the experience I mentioned about with Sidney Crockett, it's amazing that she and I and Erica, we've connected after all these years. And those cousins apparently were very close, Addie and Eleanor, because they wrote letters to each other for quite a few years. And here we are, they're great grandchildren. Let me ask Scotty how many greats. Here we are, so many generations later, and we've connected. That's amazing.
Well, you know, it's because Dad must have changed some hearts. He sure did.
Well, I'll tell you something. That little baby there, Grant, I have a picture of the whole family in the sewing room. And he comes in every time he walks in that room. He will point to the picture and say, Paul, Paul. And he'd smile at me and want me to look. And he says that every time he looks in that sewing room.
Mom and Dad and the siblings. He recognizes Grandpa.
And he does that every time he walks in that room. And it is so cute. It's like, you see that? You see that?
My buddy.
I want to share, I don't know if everybody's heard this story. Years ago, after Grandpa and Grandma had died, Grandpa had,
George
Dad.
Emil Johnson and
Yeah.
Eleanor Rachel
right,
Elliott Johnson.
Dad had done, I had done his mother's work after she died because Grandma didn't want to do it. We were in Washington, D.C., and Grandpa says, would you do it? I said, sure, I'll do it. I don't care. So I took her name through and did her work, and I told Dad afterwards, I said, your mom's so upset. I said, I sat through that whole session and I just felt, and I didn't know much of the story, and it wasn't until after I had this experience that Dad shared with me all of the issues that his mother had with the marriage and all this. I was not aware of it before. And I said, there was just a really difficult spirit as I sat through that endowment session. I said, I don't think she accepted it, Dad. I'm really sad. And Dad said, well, you know, that's my mother, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, years later, after we'd moved to Houston and Mom and Dad moved down there, we didn't have the Houston temple yet, so we went to the Dallas temple. And Dad was doing some other family names. And we went in and just went through to check what they had recorded. And he said, well, we just want to, and I told him I'd done my grandmother. And they said, what was her name? And they didn't show that any of her work had been done. And I said, well, I know it has because I did it. And they said, well, we can print it out again. Do you just want to do it again? And I said, yeah, I guess. I hope I don't have the same experience I had last time. And so we printed out all of Grandma's work, and I did her baptism, did everything that day for her. And it was a very different spirit, very different. And it was such an interesting experience for me to realize that even in the hereafter, hearts are changed. And that's before Grandpa died. That's before Dad died. But she had even been softened at that point to, I think it was a spirit of, okay, thank you.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And I'm not committing, but it wasn't
Hard.
this kind of a spirit. So I just thought, to me that was a true testimony that the Lord continues to work on hearts on the other side of the veil. So I think all of this, with Dad being out there and teaching the family, that now she's getting on board saying, okay, let's get this ball rolling. We're doing
Well, maybe
it.
the thermostat was broken in that part of her spirit world.
In her heart.
A
Yeah.
little too long. So,
Stephen, you should tell your vision.
I think I shared with some of you. I wrote a journal entry for an experience I had in the temple. This is Washington Temple, maybe about 2 years ago. And it was a really stormy night, and Junko and I went to the temple, and I got the most horrible stomach ache, and I was doing the work for one of the Elliott lines. And after I came out of the celestial, out of the endowment room, I went into the celestial room, and all of a sudden my stomach ache just went away. I mean, there've been a lot of things, obstacles kind of hedging up. I forgot my name tag, I'm a veil worker, and it was one of those nights, nothing seemed to be going right. But then when I finally got into the celestial room, I was sitting there, and I was just looking up, kind of up into space, and I had a very brief glimpse of Dad and Grandma Elliot. And she was very happy. And she, I think in the next life, we convey our thoughts without words. And she just conveyed the thought to me that she was very sorry for the way she treated us kids. And that we are her heroes. And I felt this tremendous love. And she was beautiful. And I never ever thought Grandma was beautiful. But when I saw her in this very brief little dream or vision or whatever it was, she was beautiful, and Dad was there, and Grandpa was there, and the others were there. And it just lasted just a glimpse. And it was beautiful. So I know that Grandma Johnson is her heart has changed, and she's counting on us to do the work for her family. And these are good people. As I learn more about them, very faithful, religious, righteous people. They were righteous people, good people, honest people, hardworking, and they really are depending on us to do the work. But I know that it's all true. Like Grandma said, the gospel's true. And Dad's there. And I also had the thought at that point that Dad is the one that when we go on the other side, we're teaching the gospel, but we're teaching the gospel to our own family. And that's the responsibility we have. Anyway, Grandma, any closing thoughts? And then it's dinner time. Yeah.
I forgot to bring it, but I don't know if any of you know Dixie, who was she is the daughter of, I can't remember. Yes, Isabel and Lloyd. So Uncle Lloyd married Aunt Isabel. Aunt Isabel was one of the daughters of the second marriage of Charlotte Sutherland Denny to Mr. Bush. And Dixie was in our home visiting with Carol 2 years ago, I think it was. She lives in Ohio. After our visit, she mailed me the original wedding certificate of Charlotte Denny and Mr. Bush. And Carol said, "That's weird because you're not even related to to that marriage." But Dixie said, "It's because you guys
We'll preserve it.
you value and that's your great grandmother, even though it's not your great grandfather, but you'll take care of it." So I have that at home.
Can you scan it and put it into our family search?
Yeah, I need to just remind me to do that. But it was pretty neat. But you remember the story about Uncle Lloyd when Dad was showing Gordon's mission slides to his siblings. And he went in to change carousels or something in the kitchen for a minute. And Lloyd comes out to Dad in the kitchen and says, "Gordon, you probably don't know this, but my wife and I are members of the church." And Dad said he about fell over. He couldn't believe it because Lloyd said,
Bomb number one.
Lloyd says, "Yeah, I'm a high priest." And Dixie remembers her parents, they were went to the temple on a regular basis and were active in the church. No, because her parents joined as adults, so none of the kids were ever active in the church, or even Dixie was never baptized. She joined
first, and then later she joined the church.
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't remember the details.
Yeah.